Okay, so let's jump right in. I want you to think about a date. January 15, 2026. That was just last week.
Yeah.
And I really think this date is going to be one for the history books, but maybe not for the reasons we usually think of with spaceflight. We're not talking about, a new moon landing or anything like that.
No, this is something much more grounded, you could say. You have to look at the context. I mean, for 25 years, we've had people living on the International Space Station nonstop.
A permanent presence.
The permanent presence. It's been this incredible fortress of science. Crews come, crews go, like clockwork. But in that entire quarter century, we have never seen what we just saw last week.
The first ever controlled medical evacuation from the space station?
It sounds so dramatic, doesn't it? And, well, it is. We're talking about the SpaceX Crew-11 mission.
Right. And usually, a splashdown is all about high fives and mission accomplished. And let's be super clear up front. Crew-11 was a success. The astronauts are safe.
They are. They're back on Earth. They're okay.
But this wasn't a victory lap. This was a stress test.
That's the perfect way to say it. It was basically a real-world fire drill for NASA's emergency plans. It proved that the lifeboat idea, which has always been a little theoretical, actually works when it matters.
And that's our mission for today's deep dive. We're not going to speculate on who got sick. NASA's keeping that private. And honestly, that's not even the interesting part of this story.
I agree completely. The real story is the logistics, the machinery of the rescue itself.
Exactly. We've got a whole stack of sources here. NASA technical standards, mission logs, some really deep analysis reports that lay out how you pull a sick person out of orbit. And maybe more importantly, what this tells us about the terrifying reality of trying to go to Mars.
Yeah, quick spoiler. You can't really call an ambulance when the hospital is 6 months away.
So let's set the stage a bit. Who was actually on this mission? Because the crew for Crew-11, they were already a pretty unique group before things went sideways.
Oh, absolutely. You had this fantastic blend of rookie energy and what I'd call extreme veteran experience. The commander was Zena Cardman.
And this was her first flight, right?
First time in space. She's a biologist, a geoscientist, but there's a little backstory here. She was part of that big crew shuffle.
Oh, right, with all the roster changes.
Yeah. She was originally slated for Crew-9. But, with the whole Boeing Starliner delays, schedules got pushed, people got bumped, and she ended up commanding Crew-11.
Talk about a trial by fire.
I mean, welcome to space, Commander. Your first job is to execute a historic medical evacuation. That's a lot of pressure.
A ton of pressure.
But sitting right next to her, you have pilot Mike Fink.
Now, Fink is a name people know. That legend.
He really is. Retired Air Force colonel. This was his fourth flight. And again, the irony is just amazing. Finke spent years training for the Boeing Starliner. He was supposed to fly Starliner 1.
But NASA moved him.
They moved him over to SpaceX specifically to make sure there was deep veteran leadership on the Dragon capsule. It's almost like they knew they needed that experience.
So you have a rookie commander, but she's backed up by a guy who has seen everything space can throw at you.
It's just smart crew management. And then rounding out the crew, you had Kimya Yui from JXA and Oleg Platonov from Roscosmos.
And Platonov, he had his own medical story, didn't he?
He did. It just adds another layer to this whole thing. He was grounded for years because of a medical issue here on Earth. He finally gets cleared, finally gets his mission, and it gets cut short by a medical issue on board.
The human body is always the wild card, isn't it?
Always the weakest link in the chain. So they launched back in August 2025. They're up there for 167 days. This was not a short trip.
They were deep into the science.
Yeah. Stem cells, plant research, prepping for a big spacewalk. And they were flying on the Crew Dragon Endeavour.
We have to talk about Endeavour.
Yeah.
C-206.
The fleet leader.
It's like the Millennium Falcon of the SpaceX fleet.
It pretty much is. By the time it splashed down, that one capsule had spent over 868 days in space. It flew Demo 2, the very first crewed flight.
So it's beyond flight proven.
It's the definition of it. And I think that matters. If you're mission control making this call, knowing your vehicle is that reliable, it gives you confidence. You can focus on the patient, not the heat shield.
Okay, so solid vehicle, experienced crew. Let's get to the incident.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like a movie scene with alarms and red lights flashing.
No, not at all. It was a slow burn. It really started on January 7th, 2026. NASA put out a very brief, very vague statement about a medical situation.
But the big tell was what they canceled the next day.
EVA 94.
The spacewalk.
Right, and you just don't cancel a spacewalk lightly. That takes months of prep. The suits, the airlock, everything is ready to go. Scrubbing an EVA is a huge deal.
That was the signal that this was not a headache. You don't scrap a spacewalk for a common cold.
Exactly. And this is where the tech on board becomes the hero of the story. The mission logs talk a lot about the ultrasound, too.
It sounds like a bad movie sequel.
It does, but it's this amazing diagnostic tool, and this is all covered in the NASA standards for in-mission medical care. You have to be able to diagnose problems without a hospital.
So what does that look like? An astronaut is floating there, holding this thing.
And beaming the video right down to Earth, you have flight surgeons in Houston watching a screen in real time, telling the crew, okay, move it to the left, press a little harder, freeze that frame. It's incredible.
Telemedicine at 17,500 miles an hour. But that's also the limitation, isn't it? They can see the problem.
But they couldn't fix it. That's the catch. The standard says you have to be able to stabilize and diagnose. It doesn't say you need an MRI machine. They knew they had a problem, but they didn't have the tools to solve it.
Which brings us to January 8th, the decision. But you made a point earlier about the terminology. This was a controlled medical evacuation, not an emergency return. What's the difference?
Oh, they're worlds apart. An emergency return is, the station is on fire, it's decompressing. You undock now and you land anywhere you can.
In the middle of the ocean, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Just get down. It's incredibly risky. But this was controlled. The doctors decided the patient was stable enough to wait, but not well enough to stay. The risk of keeping them in space was higher than the risk of coming home.
So they could plan it out.
They took a whole week to prep. From the 8th to the 14th, that is an absolute luxury.
What were they doing? Packing.
Basically, yeah. They were saving the science. Packing up blood samples, stem cell experiments. If they'd done an emergency return, all of that would be lost. This way, they saved millions in research.
Right.
And they waited for perfect weather.
And they had to hand over command of the station.
Right, the keys to the castle. Mike Fink was the commander of the whole station, Expedition 74.
You can't just leave the lights on.
No, you have to formally transfer command. So on January 12, he handed the station over to the Russian cosmonaut Sergei Kudzverchkov. It's a critical step.
So everything's packed, weather's good, January 14, undocking.
5:02 p.m. Eastern, Endeavour pushes off, and this is where the speed comes
It
in.
was fast.
Blistering fast. From undocking to splashdown was only 10.5 hours.
What's a normal trip home?
It can be a day, sometimes two. They'll undock, drift a bit, line up the orbit. But here, they needed to get the patient to a hospital, so they took a direct shot to the Pacific.
And landed in the dark.
3:41 a.m. local time. Pitch black.
Is that normal?
It's allowed, but it's not what they prefer. But again, it was a trade. They traded daylight for speed and for calm seas. The water was like glass. It was all about smooth ride for the patient.
The capsule hits the water.
Yeah.
And then things get different again. Usually we see the astronauts get out, wave for the camera.
None of that. This followed the NASA standard, 2008, I believe. Transport to a definitive medical care facility.
Definitive. That's the word.
It means a real hospital. MRI, CT scans, surgery suites. The second the recovery ship, the MV Shannon, got to the capsule, the crew was pulled out and put right on a helicopter.
Straight to a hospital in San Diego.
No press conference. Straight to the diagnostics they couldn't do in space.
And that's the success. The patient got care. Everyone is safe. The system worked.
It worked perfectly. It proved that if you have a serious medical issue in low Earth orbit, we can get you to a world-class hospital in under 12 hours. It's an absolute marvel.
There's always a but. This has left the ISS in a really strange situation.
Oh, it has. The ripple effects are huge. You
Yeah.
take 4 people off a station that normally has 7, that's a problem. They call it a skeleton crew.
Who's still up there?
Just 3 people, NASA's Chris Williams and 2 Roscosmos cosmonauts, Kudzverchkov and Mikhaev.
And what does that mean for what they can actually do?
Well, it's paralyzing. For a lot of the big jobs, the safety rules require more people. Take spacewalks, for example.
And they even do one.
It's basically off the table. Think about it. You need 2 people outside. That leaves 1 person inside to run the station, watch the systems, fly the robotic arm.
It's too much for one person if something goes wrong.
It's a single point of failure. It's just too risky. So no spacewalks. A lot of the complex science gets put on hold. They're mostly just maintaining the station.
Just keeping the lights on.
Pretty much, which is why NASA is scrambling to get Crew-12 launched early, maybe in February, just to get more hands on deck. It shows you how fragile the whole system is.
And this is where I want to get to the big picture, the Mars problem. We just proved we can get someone home from the ISS in 10 hours. That's a win. So why does this event make you nervous about deep space?
Because it highlights a dependency. Our entire medical plan for space is based on a quick ride home.
And on a trip to Mars, home is not 10 hours away.
It's 6 to 9 months away. You can't just turn the spaceship around. Once you're on that trajectory, you are committed.
So if this same thing had happened 3 months into a Mars trip,
There is no helicopter. There is no splashdown in the Pacific. The stabilize and evacuate model completely breaks down.
that's useless.
Totally. For the ISS, the plan is use the first aid kit, and if that doesn't work, call an ambulance. For Mars, the ship has to be the hospital.
And we're not just talking about packing more supplies.
No, this is a fundamental shift. The analysis of this event suggests we're really underestimating the medical risks for long-duration missions. We need what they're calling level 5 medical facilities on board.
Level 5, what does that even look like on a spaceship?
It means you're not just bringing an ultrasound. You need something like a compact CT scanner. You need a sterile place where you can actually perform surgery. You need to be able to make your own drugs because it's expire on a 3-year trip.
And what about the doctors? You said Houston was watching the ultrasound live.
That's the other killer. The speed of light delay. On Mars, it can take 20 minutes for a radio signal to reach Earth, one way.
So he asked you a question.
And you wait 40 minutes for the answer. Your patient could be long gone. You cannot have a doctor on Earth guiding your hands. The crew has to be totally autonomous.
Or the computers have to be.
Exactly. We're talking about AI doctors that can make a diagnosis from a scan, robotic surgical assistants. The big lesson from Crew-11 is that relying on Earth for that definitive care is a luxury we are about to lose for good.
Wow. That is a sobering thought. We think we're a spacefaring civilization, but we're really just tethered.
We are tethered toddlers. We haven't even left the backyard yet. Crew-11 proved we are masters of our backyard. The logistics were perfect, but it also proved we are not ready to leave the neighborhood.
It changes how you see that splashdown. It wasn't just a landing, it was a data point.
A very expensive, very necessary data point. And I bet the risk models, the PRAs, are going to be completely rewritten after this.
So, to sum it up, Crew-11, was it a success?
100%. The crew is safe, the science was saved, the vehicle worked. Operationally, NASA and SpaceX just nailed it. But looking forward, it's a warning.
A warning?
It's a warning that as we plan for Artemis and Mars, we have to stop thinking about rescue and start thinking about sustainability. We have to be able to fix the problem out there because eventually that ambulance just isn't coming.
That's a lot to think about. It's easy to focus on the drama of the rescue, but the real story is what happens when a rescue isn't even an option.
Exactly.
Well, we are incredibly glad that Cardman, Finke, Yui, and Pletnov are home safe. And we're glad you could join us to break it all down.
My pleasure.
And for everyone listening, thanks for diving in with us. Stay curious, and we'll catch you on the next one.